Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of Screw the Commute. We're so happy to have a really great guest today. Alain Burrese is going to be on. He's going to show you how to stay safe in a dangerous world. But a brief message from our sponsor, and you'll notice that a lot of times the sponsor is me. So our sponsor today is the Screw the Commute private Facebook group, where you can interact with me, my staff, and with other great entrepreneurs and like-minded people. And it's a place where my staff and I put in training and business tips several times a week. You can ask questions and you can get feedback on things you're doing. So I'll tell you more about that later. So let's take a look at our great guest. Alain Burrese is a former Army sniper, a 5th-degree black belt, and a certified active shooter response instructor. He is the author of 9 books, including Survive a Shooting and 11 instructional DVDs. Alain teaches a common sense approach to staying safe and defending yourself through his Survive a Shooting and Survive and Defend programs and websites. Now, I'm going to add, I've been a lifelong self-defense practitioner, and Alain is one of my trusted instructors, and there's only about 3 or 4 of them in the entire world that I would trust with my life, and he's one of them. Alain, are you ready to screw the commute?
I'm always ready, Tom.
You're always ready to screw? All right. Well, tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing.
You know, I primarily try to teach people how to enjoy life safely by showing them safety strategies they can practice, and then self-defense techniques and strategies if they have to defend themselves.
Getting more dangerous all the time out there. Just today, another active shooter in Indiana.
Yeah, sadly, we had one today. We had one last Friday. It's definitely increasing, and the FBI statistics show that active shooter situations are increasing in frequency and casualty numbers.
Oh, my God. So what exactly are you doing to help with this?
I just released a book, Survive a Shooting, which is being called by experts the best book on the topic. And I also travel around to teach the Survive a Shooting course to businesses, schools, any group that wants to bring me in to get hands-on learning of what they can do in these terrible tragedies.
So anybody can get in touch with you and bring you into their organization or school, or how does it work?
That's correct. You know, they can go to the website, they can contact me. Some organizations
name the website early here, and then we'll put it in the show notes too.
surviveashooting.com.
Okay, great.
And some organizations need specific types of proposals, which I can send them. Other organizations, they have the okay to say, hey, we want to bring you in. And we do a contract, and I fly in and teach them what they can do to improve their safety before, during, and after these events.
How long is the course?
Course is 4 hours, but it can be modified to fit a group's needs if need be.
So what's a typical 4 hours look like? What are the things that they do?
The first part is a PowerPoint presentation, and I don't bore people with PowerPoint. I keep it lively and interactive.
Yeah, they might want to rather have a shooter than a boring PowerPoint.
Right. But it tells the framework of what we're going to do later in the day, which is actually hands-on. You know, how do you barricade and lock open out versus open indoors? How do you ambush a shooter? What are improvised weapons you can use? How can you take that shooter out? How can you save a life with a tourniquet or other means to stop the bleeding? So we want some hands-on practice with all of those kind of skills that will keep people alive.
Now, one of my favorite things I've seen you do is with regard to a fire extinguisher. Tell them about that.
I love the fire extinguisher as an improvised weapon because I teach in a lot of schools where they're not allowed to carry handguns. And so I teach the most effective way to use a fire extinguisher to ambush a shooter and take him out with it. And it involves spraying him in the face and then smashing him in the head with the canister.
Beautiful. I love that. To go back a little bit, did you ever have a job?
I had a lot of jobs throughout my life. The most recent was probably about 7 years ago as a full-time attorney.
Oh, that's right. You are an attorney also. Now, before that, I know you were in the military. What other kind of jobs have you had?
I was in the military. I had a lot of part-time jobs going through school. I taught English in Japan. I taught English in Korea while I was over there studying martial arts. I've managed stores, retail. And then after going to law school, I worked for an insurance company. We wrote malpractice insurance for attorneys, and I handled claims when attorneys got sued.
Huh.
And then I worked in a private law firm after that, doing a lot of transactional and business type law.
Weren't you in one that handled something to do with RVs?
The transactional firm, we set up limited liability companies for people to save on sales tax and registration fees.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the state that you were in was more conducive. Is that what it was?
Yes, Montana has no sales tax. So the limited liability company could buy the vehicle without paying sales tax and register it here in Montana. Oh. We registered vehicles from out-of-state people because it's no sales tax in Montana, and you could register cheaply. And most of the clients were those people that would sell their homes, buy $500,000 motor homes. And so that's quite a significant savings when you don't have to pay sales tax on that, register it in Montana, and drive around the country.
Got it. All right. So what was from your latest job, what was the turning point that you said, you know what, I'm done with working. I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to do my own thing, stay at home. You've got a beautiful family to spend time with. What was the turning point for you to make that happen?
I didn't really like making a lot of money for someone else.
Okay, and I get that.
And having to play by somebody else's rules that sometimes I disagreed with, and just wanted to do my own thing and be in control of my own life, and that's what I did.
So what was the first step to get out of that, making other people rich, to doing your own thing? And I'm sure it was like money just poured in the door overnight, right? And you got rich overnight and all that.
Exactly, right. It was tough. Leaving the law firm and going out on my own, it was tough. It's a tough journey, but there's a lot of rewards with the downsides as well.
Tell us some of the things you enjoy because of it.
I enjoy the freedom, and I enjoy that I do what I want. I don't have anyone saying you have to be here on the clock.
Except your daughter, because aren't they having a little get together with her friends today?
Yeah, except now I'm just, my daughter is control of my schedule.
Exactly,
a lot of times now. So I guess we always have someone to answer to. My wife and daughter are the boss now.
All right, so give us a couple tips on either suit yourself, either on working from home or keeping safe, because I think that's such an important topic. I don't care that we're just talking about business here. If the people on this line don't stay safe, business doesn't matter too much. So give us a couple tips about staying safe if you have an active shooter, or just staying safe in general.
I think the most important thing I teach in all of my safety programs, including the Survive a Shooting course, is to pull your head out of your apps, APPS,
right,
and pay attention and be aware of your surroundings. And I'm not telling people to be paranoid. I'm just saying, look around, be part of the life we're in rather than on your device. You will see potential bad things in time to hopefully do something about it, but you also see the good things out there and you can enjoy more. You can't stop and smell the flowers if you don't even see them. So I think being aware of your surroundings and aware of what you are doing that affects your surroundings is one of the most important lessons I teach in all of my programs.
I totally agree. Give them a couple nuts and bolts things if they do get in a bad situation.
In the Survive a Shooting program and some of my other programs, I have a 3-pronged triangle. And in the middle of the triangle is move. You have to do something. When something bad happens, freezing and not doing anything is the worst thing you can do.
That reminds me of that Virginia Tech where the people were just like fish in a barrel. The guy just executed them. They just hiding under a desk and that was it.
Exactly. Freezing, hiding, and hoping, those aren't strategies to stay alive. You need to escape the danger zone. You need to deny the danger access to you. And that could be locking them out. It could be getting behind something that is cover that stops bullets if it's a shooter. But you need to deny him the ability to hurt you. If the guy has a knife, grabbing a chair and holding the chair or stool between you can deny him the access to cut you. So there's a lot of ways to deny that attacker access. And if you can't escape or deny them, you attack back and you take them out with aggressive ferocity that you're going to fight and with everything you have and make sure that you go home and that attacker does not hurt or kill you or those you care about.
Yeah, and some people, that's very foreign to them. They're not used to being in physical confrontations, and it's very foreign thought of hurting another human being. But in my self-defense class, I make people visualize their own funeral. I make people visualize everybody that's crying and screaming and is going to ruin their life because you're gone, to try to get them to the place where they can attack like a vicious lion when need be. Because that person, if they're already doing what they're doing, they have no value of your life or any human life, and it's better if you walk out than them. Now, let's switch back to business a little bit. Have you ever gotten screwed in business?
Well, I've been the victim of politics and inner politics. I mean, I've been on the plus side of politics in organizations. I've been on the bad side. And I mentioned I made a lot of money for somebody else when I was working in the law firm.
Right.
So,
oh, that's true. Right. So I guess the answer to what you did about it was you left.
That's right. I left. Exactly.
Anything funny? I know you've done a lot of security work at arenas and things like that, and just been in numerous actual confrontations, which is one of the reasons that I trust you so much, because a lot of people teaching this stuff have never really been in any. They're reading it out of a book, or they're practicing a martial art, which the key word there is art. They've never actually done this stuff, but you've been in so many real life confrontations, as have I, when I had my nightclub. Anything funny happen? I mean, you deal with a lot of drunks, I imagine, and what's funny happened in those situations?
I don't know. Usually dealing with drunks isn't funny. It's annoying.
Well, now, yeah.
I got another travel tip that I think people would think is funny that I'd share too. But
all right,
working security, I will say if you ever work jobs like that, use disposable contacts if you wear contacts, and it's good to have backups. And sometimes, I remember working Neil Young concert, and had to eject a guy, and he got a lick in on my face and knocked the contact out when he hit me in the eye. And they were disposables, but I didn't have backups with me that night. So I had to do the rest of the night with just one contact, which that wasn't the most enjoyable working, because that screws up your vision when you only see with one eye.
I mean, you go to grab one drunk and you hit somebody else.
Yeah. But those kind of things happen.
Oh boy. So what would you say the best part about working for yourself is, and what's the worst part about working for yourself?
The best part is freedom, and just being able to call your own shots and do things on your own. The worst thing is the up and downs with income, and it's all on you. You don't have a security net like you do with most jobs. I mean, obviously you can get fired from a job, but you have to screw up pretty bad to do that. So normally, as long as you're doing an okay job, you're getting a paycheck.
And then you can get unemployment if you do get laid off or something.
Yeah, but working for yourself, you don't necessarily get that. And sometimes I'll tell you a funny quick story. I was flying out to Virginia last year, And I learned that you need to have a whole bunch of stuff in your carry-on, which I didn't have. I had my computer bag and stuff, but since I had to, I have a huge case with all my training gear. Since I had to check that, I checked my other bag too, and that had my training clothes and other things that I needed. Well, I got caught in that Delta nightmare, and instead of getting to Virginia at 1 p.m, I got there at midnight with no bags.
Oh,
and I'm teaching at 8 o'clock the next morning.
Oh, geez, I've been there.
No rental cars were left either. Even though I had reservations, they got rid of all the cars because they just had so many people.
Right.
So I get to the hotel at 1 o'clock for the taxi. I get to bed by 2. I'm up at 7 to shower, put the same clothes back on, and go teach in the clothes that I flew in without any of my gear.
Well, that's actually a technique. If you smell so bad, nobody's going to attack you.
Right. So now I make sure that I have a carry-on that has my training clothes and the essentials that I absolutely have to have. And I was dumb not to have them on that trip, but I learned.
Well, tell them about what you're promoting now. The new book is out. I just got mine in the mail the other day. It is just fantastical. Tell them about it and where they can get a copy.
That book was just released last week. All week I've been signing and numbering the special 250 first signed editions. There's some of those still left. I'm up in the hundreds now, so you're not going to get a double. You won't get a double digit, but you can still get one of the specially signed 250. But Survive a Shooting, and it's available at surviveashooting.com, is absolutely the best book on the topic. And that's industry experts saying that, not just me.
Like I said, I've been through just part of Alan's training, and I learned stuff, and I've been doing this my whole life. So, if you want to stay safe, you and your family, this would work for both businesses and individuals. I mean, you got to, the awareness thing, I mean, you got to be careful if you sit out on the street at a cafe that somebody's going to run over you with a truck. You really have to, there's a lot of things to think about nowadays in this world. So we'll have this in the show notes. What's the website again?
surviveashooting.com.
surviveashooting.com. All right, now let's take a break. I'll kick in from our sponsor. Hey, Tom, are you the sponsor this week? Yeah. Okay, tell them about it. Okay, so our sponsor this week is Screw the Commute private Facebook group, where you can interact with me, my staff, and with other great entrepreneurs and like-minded people. And it's a place where my staff and I put in training and business tips several times a week. And you can ask questions and you can get feedback on things that you are doing. And I give quick tips that have made and saved me tons of money over more than 40 years in business. And myself and my staff also give you more in-depth postings on all kinds of business topics. Check it out in the show notes at screwthecommute.com. All right, let's get back to today's great guest. Now, Alan, tell us what a typical day for you looks like and how you stay motivated.
The nice thing about what I'm doing is there's no typical day. When I'm in the office, sure, I'm up in the morning and I'm doing some Facebook posts and part of the marketing. Then I may be working on a book. I may be working on a course. This last week, I was signing books and shipping them out.
I saw pictures of that on Facebook, yeah.
If it's a teaching, it's a week where I'm teaching, I got a travel day, which means I'm up at 3 a.m. because I have to be at the airports usually at 4 to 5, depending on which flight I'm taking out, make it to where I'm going, find the hotel, find where I'm teaching the next day. And then the next day I'll be there teaching, which I love. And so those are rock and roll days when I'm on the stage teaching and out with people, teaching them how to be safe. And then you're back at the hotel and a plane and flying back home. And usually in Montana, I'm getting home at midnight. So those days are very different from office days. So it just really depends on where I'm at and who's hiring me and what projects I'm working on.
So how do you stay motivated when you're a solopreneur?
I read a lot and I listen a lot to different people, business people from Gary Vaynerchuk, Larry Winget, different motivational things that just keep me pumped up, and it also provides some education to help me do better at business. I have some friends and mentors. This one guy, Tom Antion, who's
I've
been
heard
a mentor
of him.
from
That guy is brilliant.
He's been a mentor for a number of years, and sometimes he kicks me in the pants and tells me to get doing something.
But I'm careful to run quickly because I don't want my leg blocked and broken. So.
And so those are always helpful too, having friends and people that can help you, especially on the down times. Because, there are down times. There are ups and downs when you're working by yourself and solo. And that's just the nature of the business. And you got to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's interesting you mentioned you listen to things because it's the only medium where you can really learn and while you're doing something else. So during travel, and even I did a drive. I was doing a fundraiser up in Philadelphia, which was a 9-hour round trip drive. And I listened to Kindle books the whole way. A lot of Kindle books, you can turn on the audio and listen to it. So I listened both ways, and I think I covered 6 or 7 Kindle books during that trip. So that's called the throwaway time. So what kind of parting ideas do you have for our screwballs here? I would say with you, I'd love it for staying safe.
I think the most important thing I can say is to stay aware. Don't be paranoid. Just get out there and enjoy life safely. And have a plan in case something bad does happen.
Beautiful. And how can they reach you if they want more information, want some training, they need you to make a proposal to their company or organization? How do they reach you?
Go to surviveashooting.com. The email is alan@surviveashooting.com, and that's ALAIN. And the phone number, the contact numbers are at the website as well.
Okay, that reminds me of the fact that when I first met you online, for years I thought you were a girl with the spelling. What is that, a French spelling or of your name?
It is it's a French spelling. It's Alain in French. And Jean-Claude Van Damme has played characters with that name in a couple different movies. But I also had law professors. The first day of class, they're calling out the initial roll, Miss Alain Burrese. It's like, it's Alan, and I'm not a miss.
Yeah, and I remember because you were on my list for a long time, and we corresponded, and I always thought you were a girl until the first time I talked to you. It was like, wait a minute. This is very deep voice girl here.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one.
Yeah. All right. So thanks so much, Alan, for doing what you do to help keep people safe. I really appreciate it. And everybody, this was episode number 3 for Screw the Commute podcast. Visit screwthecommute.com for the show notes where we'll have links to all the stuff that was mentioned today. Make sure you subscribe. There's information on how to do it over there. We have free webinars over there, all kinds of stuff. And consider signing up for the private Facebook group, which there'll be a link in the show notes also for that. So, and leave us a review if you can. If it's a good review, we have a good link over there to click on. If it's a bad review, the link will not work. Right? So, or it'll go to somebody else's podcast. So anyway, we'll catch all you screwballs later.